So let's talk about the Boxster. And this kind of sucks because I really had a sense of pride from building this channel up on being able to do things yourself and owning these cars, even though it doesn't seem all that practical. But I feel like this would be the case with any car, not necessarily just a Porsche. But I don't really have a lot of confidence or faith in this engine. There were a lot of metal shavings in the oil, more than I anticipated. Pretty much all the oil is contaminated. Enough so that I don't think it is worth investing any money into this engine personally. I can spend $200 doing the oil cooler and the seals, and then another $600 to $800 to have the entire cooling system flushed. And we can refill the oil and then turn this engine over only to find that it's still knocking. And I don't want to go down that scenario. And there's not even any point in mentioning the fact that I've seen posts already where the oil cooler might not necessarily be the issue. It could just be that the block isn't good. So again, I don't know that for sure. I don't have the time, the space, the finances, or the resources to handle any of this at the moment. So the car's got to go. I think what would make sense is if someone can pick this car up for extremely cheap compared to its market value and has the ability or the finances to throw a good engine in it, then you're going to have an amazing, great condition sports car. And I just can't do that. I don't have the space to do a rebuild here. I don't get paid from any of these YouTube videos, so it's not like I have income coming in from these. Definitely not enough to do, to purchase an engine on the side. And I don't have a lift here. I can't even lift this high enough to pull this motor out. I don't have the tools to do it. I don't have a stand. I don't have the time. I also don't want this in here for months, forcing me to park the 944 outside. So again, this car needs to go. So if you're interested in it, I will leave my email in the description below, and you can shoot me an offer. I've been fully transparent in all these videos. You've seen what the condition of the car is, so I don't really feel like I need to harp on that. So obviously I don't expect anyone to pay anything close to what this thing is actually worth because of that. So yeah. So on that note, I figured let's do a walk around of the car. I think you guys have already seen a couple of the other smaller issues that needed attention, but yeah. This is the 2001 Boxster S, so it has the 3.2 250 horsepower flat 6 in the middle, with the full leather package interior. So the dash and everything is leather, seats and everything is in excellent condition in here considering the age. Let me hop over to the passenger seat and fold this back so you can see it. As you can see, there's the front of the engine bay since I have it all there. You can see that there's no water pump leaks, nothing like that. Built relatively new, or at least in good condition. There's the front seat. Kind of same deal. This is in great shape. The windows work. The heat works great. Never got a chance to sort out the air conditioning. We were thinking that it could either be just the pressure switch or could be the compressor. The compressor doesn't make any noise or bearing noise or anything like that. No alternator problems, no overheating issues. The only issue with the paint finish here is a couple marks believe this is clear coat that was starting to go. I had some plans to solve that. I'm no longer going to. Mike refinished these lights. They look amazing. These are the electronic lights with the factory HIDs, and he did upgrade the bulbs to a better bulb color temperature. So I mean, these headlights alone are probably like $1,500 for a pair. These are not hollow spoke wheels, but they are factory turbo twist. These are the wheels that were spec'd with the car, optioned with the car when it was built from the factory. So there's like no curb rash on any of them, at least not that I can find openly and willingly. Car does need tires. These decals were added. Everything in here is relatively clean. I do have the original owner's manual. I have the original radio. Mike swapped this out for a CarPlay unit, which was very helpful to me. Got some aftermarket tinted taillights here. You guys saw in the last couple videos, I repaired the trunk and we fixed that third brake light. I'll show you the top of the engine here. So that oil cooler is what I suspect to be the issue. Got a couple of macadamia nuts in there for good measure. Top was replaced and glass window added. So that wasn't cheap. This was definitely a pricey add-on. The only issue with the top is that we believe the driver's side transmission gear, that white plastic gear, has failed, and so it's a little bit choppy on this side, but the roof does go up and down. I've had it up and down, but that does need to be replaced. The other issue that the car had was the crank position sensor has failed, so the fuel pump is wired to a switch, but I had a crank position sensor that was included when I bought the car that I was planning on installing this weekend, actually, before this happened. And I also have the gear set for that driver's side convertible top mechanism. And that's about it. All the lights work. Off the top of my head, I can't really think of anything else. There was the check engine light that was throwing the 1128 code and 1130. I cleared that and it didn't come back in the time recently that I was driving the car. So maybe the warmer weather. We believe that that would have been a changeover valve. I think that was the issue because we could hear the components of the secondary air injection system working. So like I can hear the auxiliary air pump working. So other than that, this was a 130,000 mile car and everything was driving excellently. So yeah, this kind of blows. I'm not really stoked about this. My overall plan for this was to do a couple things, fix it up, and eventually move it on to another owner and take some of that cash and either use it towards school or shoring up a couple more things in the 944. But this has just reached a point where this is probably the most catastrophic scenario that could have happened. And it's one of those things. I don't blame anybody. Like, this isn't like a pity me video. It's just one of those things that sucks. I'm super bummed about it, but at this point I just kind of need this to be gone. I need this to go. So if you're interested in it, like I said, I'll have my email down below and you can shoot me some reasonable offers. This thing is relatively, it should be valued at around $13,000 to $15,000 as a normal car. So you can factor that into what would it cost you to ship the car to you, replace the engine, etc., and see if it would make sense. I'm not going to disclose a price in this video. I'll do that privately between you and me in our emails, just because I have a certain number in mind that I think would make sense for someone who's going to buy it. And while I don't want to be super picky about who buys it, I would prefer that this go to a home where it could potentially have a second life. So yeah, I think that's everything I can talk about the car. I know that the brakes have been refreshed. Prior to this, the cooling system had been flushed. Yeah, the car didn't really drive all that much in the past couple of years, but it wasn't a home where it was taken care of, as you can see by the leather and everything else. I think this was just kind of a freak thing. I don't know. I really can't explain why the sudden loss of oil pressure would have happened, even if the oil cooler had failed. Because I mean, at least personally, I've never heard of other cars where it was a drop in pressure enough to like starve the bearings or starve the lifters. But I just know that regardless, either way, I just can't handle this right now. So it's got to go. But hopefully one of you out there can give this car some life. I don't think this belongs in a junkyard. I really don't want to sit here and try to part it out. I think there's still life in this car. It just needs to go to the right home and with the right person. So thank you guys for watching. I'm so sorry that this series just kind of turned out this way. But in the real world, when you're not making oodles of money and you don't have ridiculous amounts of time, it's just, you know, I don't have sponsors to send me an engine. I don't have a lift. I don't have a hangar space or a garage space. I don't have friends that own shops, etc. So it's just, it kind of is what it is. But hopefully someone out there can keep this car's story alive and keep it going. So that would make it worth it for me. But on that note, I do want to say the time that I did have with this car was amazing. And Mike did give me a good price on the car to where I never wouldn't have been able to afford it otherwise anyways. So hopefully if I can at least recoup some of my money in that regard, I'd be okay. And this can go to a home where it can be enjoyed and have a long life. So before I keep rambling too much, that's really going to do it for this video. And I'll see you guys in the next one.